Some win tells you who you are. This one told us who Arsenal have become. Brighton away, a tight pitch, a technical opponent, and a game where Arsenal never really found their rhythm, but never lost their nerve. And yet, 3 points, a clean sheet, and 7 points ahead. But there's a question that is sitting within this result. What sort of a title challenging team wins a game like this? Let's talk about it. Okay, welcome back to Gooner Pavilion. It's Eddie here. And if you're new, welcome to the family. If you've been rocking with us, you already know how we do things here. We breathe through the football, we talk honestly, and maybe a bit of therapy as well with this. And then we try and make sense of all this chaos together as Arsenal try to land their first title in over 20 years. So let's get into this one. This game was decided in the ninth minute. Bukayo Saka cuts inside, hits a shot that clips Baliba on the way through. The deflection wrong foot Verbruggen, and suddenly Arsenal ahead. Not a classic Saka finish, and not the kind that flies into the top corner. Just a moment of decisiveness and a bit of luck. Because we do need a bit of luck when you try to win the title. But from that moment on, guys, the match didn't really belong to Arsenal. Brighton had the ball for long spells. They built patiently. They circulated possession comfortably around the pitch. And the numbers reflect the story. You can look at it. Brighton finished with around 60% possession. They completed well over 300 passes, and they spent long stretches around Arsenal's defensive third. And by the end of the night, Arsenal had been forced into 49 clearances just to protect the lead. 49. That's not control. That is survival. We've got to be honest here. It was really survival. However, survival is part of title winning football. And here's the strange part of this match. If you only look at the statistics, it almost looks like Brighton won the game. More possession, more passes, more territory. And yet Arsenal leave with 3 points, which brings us back to the question we started with. What kind of team wins a match like this? Okay, you could feel the Sunday to Wednesday turnaround in this match, right? The legs weren't always sharp. The passing lacked its usual rhythm. A couple of players made some errant passes, unforced errors. The attacking combination never really clicked. Brighton want rhythm. They want long spells of possession where they can control the tempo and slowly move you around the pitch. And Arsenal needed energy to disrupt that rhythm. It felt like all we were doing was disrupting Brighton in terms of how they were playing. And they found just enough of it, right? Because Timber carried the ball forward when pressure started building. And Trossard was, working relentlessly with the ball when he came on. Hincapié covered wide spaces with mobility and composure. This bench contributed to stabilizing the game when Brighton began pushing harder. So this really wasn't a victory that was built on some kind of fluency or genius. It was built on a collective resilience, starters and finishes coming in and helping Arsenal get over the line. This was that kind of game. Now, stepping out of this, as we do in this channel, we try and put this games in the context of our road to 90. It's no longer a road to 90, but because we have said that 90 might be almost impossible for us to get. But this was another game in the manageable bucket. And the mass has shifted again, right? Because the original target was 23 points. That's no longer realistic, right? Because it's not available. We've got 21. That means 5 more points are needed from the remaining fixtures. And we've got 15 points now. So actually we need the whole 6, right? Got Newcastle at home, West Ham away. Brighton was the first step in finishing that job. And there were a few moments in this match that explains how Arsenal protected the result. And that takes me to our first up. Gabriel and Hincapié, the backbone. Brighton control long stretches of possession, but they never broke the Arsenal center defense. And you can see Gabriel and Hincapié, how immense they were in the game. And it also shows in their map as well. Inside the opening minutes, Gabriel produced a vital clearance after Raya, mistake that nearly gives Brighton a goal. And if that had gone in, it would have been all the narrative about a wobble and nerves and all of that. From that moment onwards, though, he played with authority. You expect from a defender, protecting something valuable. Alongside him, Hincapié read danger consistently, covered the wide spaces with calmness. Brighton finished the match with 11 shots, but only two on target. That tells you everything about the defensive foundation that Arsenal have built. Second up for me is David Raya, the bounce back, right? Because, once that defense steadied the match, the focus naturally moved to the goalkeeper. Because the night could easily have unraveled for Raya, but he kept calm. And inside those 2 minutes where he played that pass to Belieber, and Brighton nearly punished him for the mistake, he didn't let that moment spiral him, which is why I have to give him a lot of credit. He settled himself into the game. And Brighton were increasing the pressure, right? And he produced three important saves, and commanded his penalty area from crosses. Uh, and it was a good performance from David Raya. I've got to give him a lot of credit here. Staying present in the game rather than letting that one mistake define the night. That's really top elite football. And then Saka's moment, it's got to be my third up, right? This night circles back to that moment that just absolutely decided everything in this game. 300 appearances, and I want to give credit to Saka because, this is where we want to give Saka his flowers, right? 300 appearances for Arsenal. 79 goals. Obviously, it's a deflected strike in the ninth minute that changed the direction of the match. But look at the other players who are on this list in terms of getting to 300 appearance at such a young age. You got the likes of Cesc Fabregas, Liam Brady. He's in very, very good company. Bukayo Saka here. And even on nights when Arsenal aren't flowing, Bukayo Saka found a way to influence the outcome. Sometimes the most important goal in the title race isn't the most spectacular one. It's simply the one that works. But even on nights like this, guys, the result goes your way. There are still things that need attention, right? And that takes me to my first step. Early nerves, right? The first concern appeared almost immediately. Raya's misplaced pass inside the opening minutes, nearly hands Brighton the lead. And for a short period, Arsenal looked unsettled. And in another match, that moment might have completely changed the story. Second for me, guys, is the attacking threat, or well, the lack of attacking threat, because there was really none. After Saka's goal, Arsenal struggled to generate any sustained pressure in the final third. And you can just see that, in this map that just sort of captures all the attacking moments, pressures and things like that. Just see how quiet, this looks in that first half. And also just look at this map that shows, how many times Arsenal got into their box. Yes, it was just once. The transition lacked sharpness and the combinations never quite settle. So it's a reminder that attacking fluency, still comes and goes, but that might just be enough, right? Final concern, for me, guys, third down. Brighton had around 60% possession and completed close to 400 passes, while Arsenal were forced into 49 clearances. Obviously, the defensive structure held, but Arsenal never really managed the game with the ball. Against sharper finishing teams, that kind of pressure can become dangerous. But listen, guys, this is what, the next couple of games is going to look like as we try and get that title. Now, that takes us back to the question we asked at the start, right? What kind of title challenging team wins a match like this? Not a perfect one, not a team that dominates every game, but a team that can suffer. Mikel Arteta talks about suffering together. A team that can defend, a team that can protect when the football isn't flowing. And that's what Arsenal showed in this game. Brighton away asks very difficult questions about discipline, about composure, and Arsenal answered them. And I don't want to even talk about the refereeing, performance in this game. We just want to focus the light on what Arsenal did well, and what an amazing win this was. Now, listen, it even makes it even better because obviously we've heard what happened at the Etihad. Manchester City dropped points, so we're now 7 points ahead. That's huge. I think huge psychological for the players. I think they can now reset, refocus, and look forward to the FA Cup game against Manfield, and then the Champions League game next week. As well. Listen, Arsenal didn't dominate the match. They didn't control the rhythm, but they found a way to win. And in March, that's everything. That's everything, guys. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like, subscribe button to the Gooner Pavilion, and drop your 3 ups and 3 downs in the comment, section as well. And if you want a bigger picture, of how this affects the title race, and check out our Road to 90 video on the channel. And of course, look out for our preview on the Mansfield game this weekend, and as well as the Champions League game as well. Let's breathe. I'll see you in the next one.